I'm sitting here now in this environment with 9 million speakers and just tons of stuff, and it's going to be 60,000 people and this and that. It's the same set of frequencies as the bar that I was doing sound in 20 years ago.
The trucks, I think it's close to 20 for the core touring. And then I think when you add the steel and all the auxiliary things that you're seeing here in the stadium, I think that number goes well above 50 as far as trucks go. Buses, I don't know the exact number, but I know it's 15 or 20 at least. PA cabinets, a couple of hundred of the NEXO boxes here. Moving lights are close to 500 fixtures on this tour. Rigging points are about 115. And I think the weight of the tour, the total rigging weight of the tour is about 120,000 pounds.
I think the biggest thing with this band is the size of the band. It's not the biggest band in the world, but there's a lot going on in the same frequency range, just a lot of mid-range information. So it's just managing the mid-range of the guitars and the keys and kind of making sure everything's got its pocket so that your static mix is clear and precise, yet it can jump and pop when it needs to when the solos come out, or it can pull down for a second when the vocal pops out. So to me, that's the biggest challenge. And then of course the obvious challenge is an artist in front of the PA with a live microphone all night, which that works itself out fine, but that's ultimately, that probably should be my answer, but it's just such a common thing now, I don't really worry about it.
So the Heinz Field setup we have today in Pittsburgh, we have 24 STM M46 B112s for the mains with 2 M28s for downfill. For our aux hang, which is the firing out 50 degrees off axis, is 15 M46 B112s and 3 M28s. And then around the corner, we have 12 M28s only for just catching the top corner of the bowl, which today we may not use. We haven't decided on that yet. They've not sold that far around, so we may not use that. But in our stadiums, some of the big stadiums we have to come all the way around back like that. So that, and then out here at our delay towers, we have 2 delay towers that have 12 each of the M28 box as well. The beauty of that, let me talk about that for a second. That was 16 boxes of a previous company and 4 amp racks and a distro and 2 support cases for cable and rigging. It's now 1 stack of M28s that has 6 and 6 on 1 cart and 1 amp rack. So it sped that process up astronomically.
I got on it a couple years ago in 2013 when this tour took delivery of it and took delivery of me as well. And that was one of its initial foray out into the world. And it was voiced a little bit differently than it is now. We worked with them at that time to kind of improve some of the tonality, some of the settings, some of this and that to make it a little more neutral. And I think we did that. And then this time back out, it's just been sort of an extension of that initial experience where we're just trying to try to get the most neutral, accurate, precise sounding system that we can, so that what they're giving us from the stage and what Kenny's doing comes back to all these people exactly as it's being performed. The throw is really pretty phenomenal. I mean, it really throws into the far field to a pretty amazing extent. So, I think that's part of it. For whatever the science and the math that goes into it, it does what it's supposed to do. And I think that's a big thing that drew Morris Light and Sound to the PA, was knowing that they were doing these stadium-sized shows, and they needed a PA that, because you don't always have the luxury of having as many delay towers as you'd like. So you want something that's going to be able to throw it as far as it's absolutely going to go. So, yeah, this one does it. It can throw, for sure.
We were in development with NEXO before it came out, so we went back and forth to France a few times and saw some things with it. When the actual product hit and we got to listen to it, it blew us away. We were just literally floored by the clarity, the punch, the power, that was coming out of such a small box. So when we finally got our first shipment and deployed it on the first stadium, we're up in the 500 level seating, 500 feet away, and it's still as clear as day. You can hear it like the vocal is just in your face, unlike anything I've ever heard, to the point of we actually even turned down our delay towers that year versus what we had done with a previous product the next year or the year before. So very, very happy with NEXO and STM. It speeded up our load in. The rigging on it is really great. It's very fast. On smaller rigs, I've personally flown it with just the pickle in my hand and myself doing it. It's not fun, but you can do it. On big things like this, it's just super fast and works very well. I'm probably, honestly, on our stadiums, cut a good hour out of our load in. On a long day, that's great. We're flying 12 deep, double wide, and it's a forward and a backward. So it's a front-back situation. So we have a cardioid setup on our air subs. So 24 18s per side. And then on the ground, I have 8 per side RS-18 in cardioid mode, firing with the drivers off. So we have a nice 30-degree off-axis push with that. And then there's a progressive time delay on that to kind of pull the image of the subs out. And the mains, sometimes we'll do a little bit of steering on those. For the most part, they end up where we want them. But a couple of the rooms that have been different, we've steered them up or down a little bit. It's something we tried this year. When we first brought STM out, we had so much more power than we had with the last system that the band actually was complaining about how much low end was on the stage. But once a tour gets going, we don't like to do a change. So we had deployed the system. We were happy with how it performed in the stadiums that year. And Chris and I made the decision to not change to a cardioid or try it. The fear was we could put it up and we don't like it, and then we have to change it. So this year we made the decision that we wanted to try to have more control, to kind of deal with our power alley a little better and deal with all the low end on stage. So switching to the cardioid setup seems to have everybody much happier. The previous year that this was out with Chesney, we only had 4 stacks of RS-18s per side. So we've doubled our ground subs as well. So we have a better rejection pattern under the stage with that.